It was interesting to see the differences between the early adopters and the majority of organizations. One major difference was in the strategic drivers for the digital workplace, where we saw that the early adopters, their number one driver was to increase organizational intelligence. For the majority of organizations, the number one driver was reduce cost, become more efficient. So those are two complementary drivers, but quite different in terms of what you would actually do to achieve them. The early adopters also, well over half of them, make the digital workplace part of an enterprise transformation program, which means it's risen to the top levels of the organization, and it's part of the enterprise trying to work in a different way. I had an interesting question about organizational culture, and it turns out that early adopters have cultures in their organizations that are more open, they're more team-oriented versus competitive. People are encouraged to make experiments, take initiatives. They're not punished for it. And the difference, it was quite striking with the majority of organizations. In order to see what difference this really makes from a business viewpoint, I asked about 4 business scenarios. And in each case, the early adopters were far ahead of the majority of organizations. The first scenario was about how well their customer-facing employees could serve customers. Second one was about business flexibility. How flexible were they when they had sudden change? The third one was, could people in the organization learn, develop their skills while they work? And they can do so much more in early adopter organizations than in the majority. And the last one was an important question for companies today, and that is, do you feel confident that your organization can retain knowledge and know-how from the older experts as they retire? And very few companies answer that in a totally confident way. In fact, there were only 4 organizations that said absolutely confident. And so those different business scenarios can become justification for investment in digital workplaces where they can make a difference in how your company works.
I think one of the most interesting points that Jane makes is the connection between the maturity of the digital workplace and business performance. Jane also looks into the strategic drivers of the early adopters and the majority and how they're different. That the early adopters, they focus on organizational intelligence, whereas the majority focuses on cost savings.